Hello and welcome to the Music Survival Guide, the independent musician's guide on how to survive in the music industry. My name's Phil, a mixing and mastering engineer. Well, welcome to 2024, the space year 2024. This is the inaugural episode of this fine year, and I hope it's a good year. I hope it's a better year than last year, because I always hope the next year is better than last year, because that's always a nice way to live. This time on the podcast, I've got an interview with James of the Slow Cooked Bears. We went into the studio last year to do a very special session where we did it completely live, so there's no overdubs whatsoever. And it was recorded to, recorded to cameras, and they put out a series of videos on their YouTube channel, as well as putting it out on Spotify. It's a really interesting and unique release, not something I've really ever been involved with before. And I just wanted to chat with James about how it worked, why they wanted to even do it this way. We chatted about things that they do maybe better next time, things like that, and how the session nearly got derailed. It's a really kind of wide-ranging chat about this very specific project. If you want to go see it or hear it for yourselves, then click on the link in the show notes, and there are links there to the Spotify page and to their YouTube channel where you can see the whole thing. And I'm just going to say, on with the interview. So, today on the podcast, I'm joined by James of the Slow Cooked Bears. James, how are you?
I'm very good, thank you. It's the end of December as we speak. Beginning of December, sorry. And it's cold, so I'm just trying to keep warm.
Very much. Yeah. But good? Still alive? Doing well?
Yeah, just about.
You don't sound convinced.
Well.
So my first question for you, as always, is from an online random question generator. So, the question for you this week is, what food can you not stand?
There's not much I won't eat, actually. I'm not very fond of offal, though. You know, the organy bits.
I can't blame you there.
Yeah. So yeah, that's the first thing that comes to my mind.
Offal.
Yeah.
Anything but offal. Anything.
Yeah. I think also I've at work and things, some people have mispronounced my name because my second name's Gilbert. I've been called giblets before, so I think that cuts quite deep. So so offal and giblets, similar sort of things.
Okay.
It's not my thing.
So right. Okay. No offal, no giblets. Apart from that, you're good to go.
Yeah.
So liver and onions is right out.
Oh no.
Yeah. Probably shouldn't tell you the story, but my mother-in-law and her family, they love liver and onions, and it got cooked for me once, and I kind of just quietly said to my wife, I was like, no, never again.
Can you have a word on the QT?
And they did, and they've never made it again ever again.
Maybe is that going to make it into the podcast? Do they listen?
No, they do not listen. I think they're good. I think they're safe. And if they do, I'll find out. It's a journey of discovery. Wow. Okay. Did not expect to talk about that. So, on to more kind of prescient things. You recently had a release come out, have you not?
Yes. I don't know when this is going to go out, but as we're recording this, it literally went out 2 days ago, and had some help from some great people, which I'm sure we're going to talk about.
Who are those great people?
Well, let's start with the video side. I had a couple of friends that came over and spent the whole day with us in the studio, recording videos live, and also yourself, who helped us actually record it and then go on and mix and master it. So yeah. What a coincidence that we're on a podcast talking about this.
Welcome. So I think it's interesting because it's one of those kind of live in the studio kind of ideas. But I guess it was really inspired and kind of driven by the video side of it, I'm going to say. So where did the kind of idea come about? Why did you want to do this kind of thing?
So we've released a few singles now, and that was fine. And we wanted to do something different. The world's kind of going in this direction of everything being very heavy production, heavy photoshopped, it's not that it's inauthentic, but we kind of wanted to show something very real, and show was an important part of that. So we wanted to do something different. We wanted to bring people into the studio. We wanted to track it live, make it an experience, and make it something you could watch at the same time as listen to. And some of that came from the way I find a lot of music, because I do find things through Spotify and things like that, but I find increasingly I'm finding bands through things like KEXP, which is a radio station in America. They have a channel, a YouTube channel, where they show bands playing live, and there's other ones like Audio Tree, etc., etc. There's a bunch of them out there. But you see the bands, they play live, and I find I connect with them because it's a very visceral experience. Like, you're seeing them, there's no smoke and mirrors, it's them, and if you like their sound, you kind of know you're going to like them, and if they're playing around the corner, I want to go and see that. So the idea was to capture that same feeling from us, and yeah, give unprecedented access, I guess.
I think it worked. Like, it was one of those weird things for me where, I recorded it and went away and mixed it and mastered it and stuff like that. And then it was only right at the very end of it where I saw what it actually looked like. And I went, oh, cool. It's very surreal in a way, but really, really cool.
I suppose it was surreal for you because you were kind of behind the desk and maybe not always watching what was happening in the room, if that makes sense, because you were on the faders, etc. And then actually, when you're recording, you're in a separate room, and then all of a sudden you actually saw it from the point of view of actually being in the recording room. So that must have been crazy surreal for you.
So you have this idea, you have this kind of, I don't want to call it a dream, but you have this plan. How did you go about planning it? What was kind of the next stage for getting that kind of thing in motion?
So you are, in some ways, limited by, when you're an unsigned band and you haven't got massive budgets. I would love to have gone and rented out, I don't know, like a very interesting, aircraft carrier or something to go and record on and do something ridiculous. But sometimes those constraints actually help form the art as well. And we decided to go into the studio, and what we thought was how, as you said, logistically, that's actually a bit of a challenge, because people walking around filming is a problem sometimes for the recording of the audio, and similarly, where you position things for audio doesn't look great on film. So it's, to be honest, it's a bit of a nightmare, and you have to make compromises somewhere. And we decided pretty early on, I think between me and you actually, that the most important thing was going to be the sound. So the placement of where we were in the room, the video was going to have to come second in terms of what looked good, because what sounded good was absolutely fundamental, and that's the main experience. And this is also going out as a recording that's being streamed. So I know you can talk more about the placement of things, because that's your area, Phil. I can't I can't speak to that. But we decided pretty early on we were going to adhere to that. I spoke to you and I said, do you know a good location where we can do this? And you said, yes, I've got a recording studio down the road that's well equipped for this. It has quite a big live room. So I organized that with you. And I'm quite lucky to leverage some friends that work in video.
Willing slaves.
Not slaves, friends, definitely friends. But again, I think that's really important, actually. If you've got people around you that have skills, ask them to help you out, and more often than not, if it's something interesting, then they're going to come and give you a hand, and you can save a few bob.
Absolutely. That's a helpful side benefit of knowing the right people, isn't it? Cool. So you had a conversation with these people and went, what do you think?
Yes, well, I mean, the other side to that is, as I said, I work them, so I actually work in video myself as my. Okay, is music my side hustle or is my job my side hustle? I don't care. But anyway, the other side of my life is video. So I had a rough idea of what the challenges were going to be, I guess. And I spoke to them about securing the equipment, but I had kind of formulated a plan in my head of how we were going to sync it all up, which had quite a big ramification on discussions I had with you. This project, I guess, was quite interesting, and I guess that's why we've decided to do this podcast, right? I mean, we were thinking click or no click, and click track sometimes takes away from the live feel. But then a click track does mean we can sync things up to video easier, and if there is anything anywhere that needs to be moved around. So things like that came up quite early on. And yeah, if you're going to do something like this, you kind of need someone to think through both sides and how that's going to be matched up and synced up.
I mean, I guess the decision about click track was also inspired by the fact that you had to, so we did several takes of each song, didn't we? And then you had lots of video that you could choose from, and then if you use a click, you can obviously have it all matched up.
Yeah, and we're I mean, with the live things, people do speed up and slow down. I was okay with it being to a click because at the end of the day, some people play live to a click as well. There's plenty of drummers that have samples and things that play out live, and we're lucky enough as a band. I mean, we probably still don't do it enough, but we practice sometimes to a click. It's, you know, I think it's important. It helps you iron out some things sometimes where you might be speeding up and slowing down where you maybe shouldn't be. And we were lucky because I think we've got quite a natural affinity with it. You know, we're not bang on, but it can be a challenge for some musicians. And if it really was going to be a massive challenge and ruin the recording, maybe I would rethink that and think of a different way of syncing it up. But for us, it just made sense in the end.
I mean, the whole video side of things was, to be blunt, was no concern of mine. I wasn't there worried how I was going to get the video to all sync up. But yeah, in terms of audio and kind of getting the right thing, clicks can help in that regard as well.
Yeah, I think that was maybe something that I didn't regret, is that you were separate, you were focused on the audio, and I was a little bit separate and focused on the video, if that made sense. And as long as we weren't treading on each other's toes and we discussed what things were going to be a problem for each other, it kind of made sense that there was a one person focused on each thing, and it got synced up at the end. Maybe that wouldn't work for someone else, but I think it worked well for us in this case.
I thought it did. Did I? Yeah, no, I think it worked great. So you guys, in the end, you had, let me think, 6 songs that we did, and let you all into a secret. They were all in that was a day. We did 6 songs in a single day, which to some people sounds mad. And I think from my perspective, it all comes down to being well rehearsed, because being well rehearsed means that you can just sort of reel off these songs, essentially. Was that a big part of your thinking, kind of going into it, making sure that you just knew each song inside out?
We do. To be honest, we kind of got to a point with some of them where we'd played them so much, they were in the back of our head anyway. Even though we were really rehearsed, I do actually remember the first song we flew through and we were like, oh, this is going to be such an easy day. And I remember the second one, I remember the lyrics threw me, and we had to go through 2 or 3 takes before we kind of, you know, to get it right. And then it was like, okay, well, what's going to happen for the rest of the day? But luckily it was fine. I think being well rehearsed is like absolutely essential, even if you're not doing it this way. Like, even if you're going to tackle a song in I don't know, maybe a week. Like, just being well rehearsed just makes things smooth, and you can focus on performance and not so much on just, not making a mistake.
Did you find that was quite difficult? Like, because obviously it's quite a different mindset performing to recording the best take of a song, as it were. So did you find it was quite mentally difficult to balance those two things?
Not too much. Because when I play live a gig, I tend to try and play as best as I can, and I am focused on that at the same time as performing. So in this case, I found like there was maybe a bit more of the percentage of my brain thinking about that as opposed to the performance. Whereas if it was live, I would be thinking, well, maybe, if something does go wrong, it might not be recorded, so maybe no one would see it. But there's always people in a room with a phone these days anyway, so I guess you're always on the clock. So I found it's not that different. The funny thing that actually threw me was at the beginning of the songs, I was announcing for you, but also for the video and for me later when I'd go and edit it, I was announcing what take it was, what song it was. And that was actually throwing me, because that was just one extra thing too many to think about before performing the song. And I think that's where it broke down on that second song. So my one key takeaway from this, I think, would be that I would have had one extra person that acted as not an audio producer, but a sort of a video, not director, and kind of half director, half producer, where they're announcing what the take is, they're checking the cameras are running, and they're focused on that. I think I tried to do just a little bit too much on my own, but as you know, there's always things that restrict you when you're in a project like this.
So I think the way of recording, the way we did it on the day, is a bit more, I guess, old school. So, if you were there in the 1960s, that is how you would have recorded a song, in that way. Everyone in the room, that is the take. And do it for as many times as you need to get the right take. In fact, there's a Beatles song I know of where they took them 19 takes to get it. So, you never got that far. Don't worry.
I don't think we made it into double figures ever.
No, it was never
I'm happy
figures.
about that.
I was very happy about that. I won't lie, I was worried for a minute on that second song that we were going to get there, but we pulled it back. So I guess, it's a very different style to the way a lot of people are used to. Certainly nowadays, where you tend to do things kind of one instrument at a time. How did you find that kind of recording? Do you prefer it, or was it just different to you?
I found it exciting. Because these days, as you said, everything's done separately, and the chance to get to do it as if you are on stage and in that mindset, I think it brings something extra to the performance. It takes away, everything is a balance, isn't it? So it takes away some of the accuracy and things that are there, but it was fun and it was different, and that's important to us. That was a major driving thing in this project, was not to just do something we've already done. And even though, as you said, this is an older way of recording, having every musician in the live room, the takes to take, and people have done these sort of live videos, like I said, with KEXP, but our way of doing it was unique to us. And the release schedule was unique to us, so that was really important. Doing something different for us and for people that listen to it as well. So I enjoyed it. Would I do it again? Yes. Do I want to do it the next time we do something? Maybe not, but purely because I want to do something different again. I don't know what that is yet, but I like for us and for the people that listen to us.
I find it an interesting point you said about it not necessarily being as accurate, just because you're all kind of together and you all have to get the take right, as it were. And I I'm not going to argue with that as such, but I would take an issue. Oh no, take an issue is too dramatic. I would point out that the harshest critic of your music is yourself by a million miles. And something that to you sounds like a terrible mistake, to maybe lots of other people listening sounds really cool. Time and time again, musicians have been asked in interviews like, oh, why did you do that particular thing in that song? Why did it go that way? That's a really cool moment. And they'll go, oh, I didn't really mean to do that. That was a mistake. And I think it's important to get into your head that sometimes the mistakes that you can do aren't necessarily bad for your music, and they can add to the vibe of it. It's really important.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of mistakes, there's not a lot in those really. I think there are things maybe vocally that if it was done in isolation, I probably would have redone. So in that sense. And I think vocals are different to other instruments. Playing guitar is you kind of have the guitar, and that's your voice, and how you do your effects and things. That's the color of your paint or whatever, and that people react to that. But when you sing, if your voice isn't in top condition, it's off. And the nature of what we did, as I said, the first song we flew through, and I was really happy with the vocal takes. Once we'd done the second one, it had taken a little bit out of me, and maybe if we'd had longer and we were doing multiple takes, I would have done things differently. But this was a live, visceral experience, so that's what you get, and that's what's interesting. But that's what I mean. It was a balancing act between the two. So yeah.
I mean, I think it's one of those things where if you, as a musician or musicians, are considering this kind of approach, make sure you've got, how do I put this? Make sure you've got someone like me. Make sure you've got an engineer who can listen to the music, who's maybe not necessarily heard it much before, who can objectively go, that was a good take. That can be really helpful. I think that can take the pressure off musicians in a way to kind of try and work out if something's good or not.
No, I remember that on the day, actually, we had that sort of experience where, because you can't always tell, like listening and playing the song are two totally different things. And when you listen back, you sometimes go, and especially when you listen back, like say a month later, if you listen back to it on the day, you might still think it's not good because you're just focused on what you've just done, and you can't see past certain things. But when you listen to it fresh a month later, you're like, oh, actually that was really good. And as you said, you need someone in the room that's listening to it and can say, with authority. And when I say authority, I don't mean they tell you what to do. I mean they feel confident in their own ability to know what's a good take and what's not a good take.
I was going to say, did I have authority?
Never. That was me in there.
If I'd have known, I'd have... No. Fair enough. So you think it was overall a really kind of positive experience, and... Yeah. How have people reacted to it so far? How have people taken it?
It's been interesting which songs are sort of performing well, actually. People have reacted to the third song, which I didn't think they would. I think it was the one that you said was your favorite, actually, Wanderlust.
Oh, yeah.
And it's a very clean song. It's a little bit of a departure in some ways of most of what we otherwise do. And they've also really reacted to the song that was the newest of all of them, which was Polly, which is the fourth one, which that was nice to have that, because our newest song on there was counted as, okay, we must be moving in the right direction. But yeah, it's been really positive. I mean, we're not a band with thousands of fans, so we're not setting the world on fire yet. But the people that have seen it have found it unique, which that's good enough for me.
I find it interesting that it's two totally different styles of song that people have reacted to. Because Wanderlust, I actually now I kind of think back on it, like the tape that we got had a lot of emotion in it, especially in your singing actually, which was really good. And then Polly was just, the word I've got is visceral. I think when you hit that first chord, and it's really, I'm going to say it's fuzzy, is it? I think you got a fuzz on it, and it's really kind of almost like a blown out sound. That was like one of my favorite things when I was mixing it. Actually, I just went, oh, that was really cool.
I guess that speaks to what it was, because it was a live recording. So the ones that maybe captured the most emotion are the ones that, which is funny as well, because again, and this goes back to what we just said. I hope when you edit this, you don't edit this out of sequence, because I've just totally messed that up if you do. When we spoke before about you being in the room and saying what was a good take, etc. I think when we did Wanderlust, it was after the second song, and I'd maybe lost a little bit of confidence at that point in the day, and I was a bit worried about my singing. But you just said, "Oh, that was a very emotional take on the singing." So maybe something having been taken away maybe helped in a different way. I don't know. And I think Polly was also quite an angry song, so maybe some of that frustration went out that way as well. So yeah, interesting thoughts.
Interesting times. So, kind of taking a step back a bit, what happened after recording? So obviously I mixed and mastered it, and we went through kind of the revisions process, etc., etc. How was it kind of putting together the video? So you obviously have your audio, etc., and things like that, but how did you find arranging several different takes to make it kind of work and look like that is kind of a multi-camera video of one take, as it were?
Yeah, so as I said, I work in video, so I've got I use Premiere Pro, which is an Adobe video package, and I got the tracks from you, and then on the cameras we actually had little onboard mics. The sound wouldn't be usable for anything, but that sound can be used to sync the music, and because we did it to a click, all the beats, I can make it match up, and it actually has the ability to do it. You can do something called multicam sync. In this case, I didn't do that. This is getting a bit technical, but this will sound funny to you, but I actually looked at the waveform. I could see where the beats were at the beginning, and it was fairly easy just to actually line it up manually, visually, by looking at where the waveform was, where the beats were. And as you said, we took multiple camera angles, so the songs were for the most part like a single take of a song, and I knew which take related to which video. We had two cameras that were roaming around. I knew which song related to which take, but the other angles were also useful. And again, because it was to a click, in most cases the drums were in sequence. Like the only times where something maybe I couldn't use might be just something vocally, lip sync, even just being slightly off can throw something off. So, but in most cases, it just gave me options visually to cut to something maybe more interesting than just staying on the one person. So I had layers of video, and I was just looking for what was the most visually interesting thing at that moment, and trying to do that in an unbiased way that wasn't just me all the way through.
Every single guitar part. Oh, that's interesting. Let's go.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I it's kind of the opposite. I try and put myself in the least, but nah. The other two would take issue.
It's a bit difficult to do when you're the lead vocal.
I kind of separate myself from my mind, body, and soul.
It's very philosophical.
Yeah.
Not where I expected this to go again, but there we go. Wow. Cool. I mean, I from my perspective, for what it's worth, I properly enjoyed it, and I think it was a really cool way to record because you go in at the beginning of the day with, in terms of audio, with nothing, and then we came away with 6 songs, which was more than I expected to be able to do in a day. Which is testament to how well rehearsed you were, to be honest. But it was just when you get going, it's really quick. I found.
What I found strange. So we, being completely open and honest, I think I'd been speaking to you before it, and we thought between the two of us we might manage 5. And you said to me we should prioritize the ones that you really, really want to. So think more like 3, 4. If we get 5 done, that was good, and maybe have a 6th one, but that's going to be sort of optimistic with the times that we've got, because once you've set up for the recording, which that takes a long time. For anyone that's not recorded, it takes a long time because you're getting everything perfect at the beginning. It takes a couple of hours at least. So once those few 2 hours or whatever it is gone, and you've got your set down at the end as well, you don't have that much time to actually crack through a song or however many songs you want. So once we did them, the thing I found interesting, as I said, the first one we flew through. The second one was a bit of a challenge and threw us off. And then, as you said, the 3rd and 4th one, full of emotion. The 5th one, we kind of got back on track. And then it was kind of like, okay, we have actually got the time to like get this extra one in and then set down. And so it was just an interesting like kind of wave of what it was. I would not have expected to, I'd maybe expect the first one to go wrong or maybe towards the end, but not like the second one is, I would not have banked on having any trouble.
I don't know. I think probably psychologically it's probably because you got the first one banked so quickly and you were all going, oh, this is great, it's going to be easy. And then obviously, then you just start to think about it. I think that's the problem. Like, you start to think about it and you can get, I mean, it wasn't this, but you can get red light syndrome where you start to know you're being recorded and really think about it and go, oh no, I better do this bit right. And then you do it slightly wrong. And then before you know it, it's all going wrong. I mean, I think for anyone who's kind of considering this, if you find yourself in that position, the best thing to do can be to take a break. Because I seem to remember, and I may be misremembering this, that partway through the recording of that song, after one of the takes, we stopped for lunch. Partly because it was lunchtime, but also just to kind of go, we just need to sit down for a bit and chill out. And I think that also helped to find the right take in the end.
Yeah. The strange thing was it wasn't particularly as a band, although it must have thrown the other two. It was mostly me, like I said, with the lyrics. They'd just gone. And then once something like that happens in your head, it's hard to break through that as a mental barrier. So yeah, definitely taking a break is sage advice, I think.
Cool. I mean, I guess my kind of only question I've really got left for you, unless there's anything else you would like to say, feel free, is what are your next plans for the band? What are you kind of thinking of the next steps? Just out of curiosity.
So we're, to be honest, in parallel to doing this, we were already writing new songs. I think you're always, when you're in a band, there's just like, when people see the final output, there's just a very nice timeline of, oh, they released this, then they released this, then they released this, and everything looks very orderly. But that's not how things. Well, it's definitely not how things work in our band. Like, there's several songs ahead we're working on, and those songs at the moment have we've gone in a slightly new direction, and musically they're a bit more challenging for us. So they're taking a bit longer to actually flesh out and to be able to actually play what we've got in our head. Like some of what we're doing is pushing us over the edge musically. So we're writing those and hopefully going to start performing them soon and testing them out. We've got some new ideas in terms of what the next round of the band kind of looks like. So when I say looks like, I'm thinking of the imagery of a release and photography. Like, everything is kind of linked. Like you advice for other bands out there, actually, like when something I've learned is, and we haven't done this very well yet, but when you make a release, it's good to have a sort of a theme that's running through everything. It's running through your photographs, it's running through the music, it's running through bios. Everything's very much like a one big, not product, because that sounds like something commercial, and that's not what this is. But it's linked artistically, and so we're working on that. We're very early stages of Band 2.0. I think we were talking about that the last time we were on the podcast. But yeah, moving in a new direction musically, and yeah, we'll see what that brings. Again, this project, like I said, was something different because we'd just done 3 singles, and wanted to do something different. And now I think we'll want to do something different again. And that's not because we didn't enjoy this. We did. We loved it. But I always want to innovate, and I think that's important to keep it interesting for you.
They're very important. So I guess it's left for me to ask which of the songs you would like to play at the end of the podcast, so we can show the boys and girls.
I'm going to vote for Polly. I'll let you, if you want to say Wanderlust, I'll let you take that as well.
It's your music. I'll let you choose.
Yeah, let's go with Polly.
Excellent. Well, this is Slow Cooked Bears with Polly. James, it's been really great to talk with you.
It's been fantastic. Thank you so much for all your help with the actual recording. It's been a long saga. It's kind of culminated with this podcast about it. So yeah, thank you very much for having me.
When I walk into the town and see your face, I take out my right hand and you say, what's the draw? I don't know what you're looking at me for when you don't have a job and you're not very funny. I take life like there's nothing to lose. You hear Polly? Polly's got a shotgun, she's got a shotgun, she's got a shotgun, and she's gonna be it. Polly's got a shotgun, she's got a shotgun, I'm pointing to through. You're not a friend, son, you're not a friend, son, and you got in the love. This Polly's got a shotgun, now I'm pointing through. But when you took me for a ride, you said I was just a whore. You said you're big time and you'll put me at the wall. Don't care what you're gonna do when you cut like you do. You hear Polly? Polly's got a shot.